Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter! Boom, 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 review stuff. And I am here for my very first review of a movie on my new series where I review movies and TV shows over here. And I am really, really excited about this because movies and TV shows are something that I have loved ever since I was a kid. And so this just seems like a natural progression of something that I'm going to do on YouTube. So I'm really excited about it, and I wanted to save my very first review for Halloween Ends, a movie that I was super, super excited about. The Halloween franchise is something that I have loved for, I think, ever since I was a kid, honestly. I don't remember the very first time that I saw it, but I know that I was very, very young when I first saw the Halloween 1978 movie. And I have seen all of the movies from the entire franchise several times. And this is not going to be my only video that I do talking about Halloween Ends and the franchise, because I've actually done some research on some different theories about things, and so I want to kind of talk about different theories to do with Halloween Ends and the franchise and things like that. But today I just want to do a review of my response to going and seeing Halloween Ends last night. So to prepare for this, I watched Halloween 2018. I had already seen Halloween 1978. I don't even know how many times. I'm like obsessed with that movie probably the most. It's probably next to Jaws, my all-time favorite horror movie of life. And so, I mean, I know all the lines, and I could repeat the lines back to you and all of that, right? So I've seen that movie enough. But this week alone, I have probably watched Halloween 2018, let's see, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. I've watched Halloween Kills 2 or 3 times, all in preparation for watching Halloween Ends, okay? Now, if you don't know much about this movie, I will tell you that this video is going to be full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to be surprised, don't watch my review until after you've seen the movie, because I'm going to be talking about what happens in the movie. But the way that the franchise is working now is that the timeline is that it goes the 1978, the original Halloween movie, and then it flashes forward to the 2018 Halloween movie, and then Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. And that is how the timeline is supposed to work, supposedly, right? Okay, so I watched this movie, and I was like, I'm not really sure what to think about this, okay? I was very, very disappointed when I was walking out of the theater, and actually, I tweeted out last night, I said, I just walked out of the theater, and I think a lot of people misunderstood what I meant, and I think they thought that I was saying that, like, I walked out mid-movie. No, it takes a really, really bad movie for me to walk out midway, and even though this was pretty bad, I didn't walk out midway because I wanted to see if it was going to redeem itself and whatever, and I will say the ending to some degree did kind of redeem the movie a little bit. And it's really getting mixed reviews. There's a lot of people out there that have responded to my tweet, and they're saying, I really loved this movie. I really loved the way that they went about it. And then there's a lot of people that are saying that they're really disappointed. I think, it's interesting to me. I think if you're like a diehard fan of the franchise, you're probably going to be disappointed in this movie. I was waiting for something explosive. I was waiting for an end that was like the ending to all endings, if that makes sense, right? I was waiting for this catastrophic, go-between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers like had never been seen before. And that wasn't in there at all. In fact, you don't even see Michael Myers for the entire first half of the movie. Like, I mean, he's not even in the movie for like the first hour. So let me kind of explain the movie to you a little bit, okay? So the movie starts, and Laurie Strode, her daughter has died in the last movie, Halloween Kills, and so she's now living with her granddaughter. She's bought a house in Haddonfield, and she has just kind of settled down, and she's no longer this survivalist, and Michael Myers has been, like, missing, and nobody knows where he's at. She's no longer really afraid of him, and she's writing this book talking about kind of what she's gone through in her life and things like that. But before that, it starts with this whole storyline of this 21-year-old named Corey, he's babysitting this kid on Halloween night, And all of this stuff happens, and the kid locks this Corey guy up in the attic, and then the Corey guy smashes through the door, and then the door comes smacking down, and then the kid falls from like the 4th level of the house, and he dies, right? So the Corey guy is then forever kind of known as this killer, even though he is, I guess, they don't really say much about it other than he's released, and I guess it's kind of seen like as an accident, right? Okay, so this is kind of the premise to this whole story going into it. Then there's this whole storyline of, it's silly. It's very silly, you guys. Then there's this whole storyline of these high school kids that are giving this 21-year-old Corey like a hard time. And so at one point, after harassing him, and he's had this interaction with Laurie Strode where these high school kids harass him and got his hand cut up, and she takes him to the hospital, and her granddaughter fixes his hand up. She's like the nurse, you know, helper or assistant or whatever. And so then, of course, there's this love interest there. And so then he falls over this embankment kind of thing, and then he goes into this tunnel, and then he sees Michael Myers, and it's like the meeting of evil, right? Okay, so it was at this point that I kind of started understanding what they were doing. And what they were doing was, it was this idea of, is evil born or is evil created? And then what happens is that over time, this Corey guy starts becoming a killer, okay? And so the movie is really about this Corey guy becoming a killer. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, well, first of all, let me just tell you, the movie theater that we went to last night, AMC at Castleton in Indianapolis, halfway through the movie, they started showing 2 projectors at the same time, and you couldn't, so it was a mistake of the projectors, and so they had to stop it and rewind it, so it kind of took away from the illusion of Halloween a little bit. Not to mention the front row of kids that were running back and forth. So anyway, so there was that, and then I was kind of wondering to myself, okay, at this point, I'm so bored, you guys. I'm so incredibly bored, because I wanted right out of the gate. I wanted Michael Myers. I wanted it to be Halloween night. I wanted Halloween 1978. You know, I wanted this suspension of disbelief, and I wanted this kind of like buildup of terror and this fear and all this kind of stuff, right? And I think they had 2 options of what they could do. I think they could either go with really like appealing and appeasing the fans, the super fans of the Halloween franchise, which I wish they had done, or they could have tried to make it this very symbolic meaning. But what is interesting to me about that is that when you remember and you go back to why Halloween, this very simple movie, low-budget movie, became so famous over time anyway, it wasn't because it had this deep symbology to it, you guys, okay? It was literally a very basic idea that has been blown out of proportion over the years by all of us fans out there that are absolutely obsessed with the story of Halloween, and especially Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, right? Okay, and why Michael Myers kills these people, and what it is in him that kills these people and comes back, and why he isn't able to die, and on and on and on, okay? So it was this very simple story at the beginning that, you know, he killed his sister, and then he escaped, and then he came back to Haddonfield to, you know, seek revenge, and he kills all these kids on Halloween night, right? Okay, it wasn't this deep story. So to 40 years later, have to be this very deep story of, is evil born or is evil created? It's like, just give the fans what they want, right? Okay. So it goes on into this whole story where the granddaughter falls in love with Corey, the new killer, and I'm like thinking to myself, so is this going to now be like this spin-off series where they're going to make further Halloweens and Corey is going to be the new Michael Myers? Like, I really thought that was the direction the movie was going in, right? Because you still don't really see Michael Myers, and finally, there was this one scene where Corey, he takes this guy, or he traps this guy in there into this tunnel system so Michael Myers can kill him, and he's like, teach me, teach me! And so Michael Myers, like, stabs the hell out of this guy, and the more he stabs him, like, you can see the more powerful he gets. Like, he's kind of weak and old when we meet him, and then the more he stabs this guy, like, the more powerful he becomes. But you really don't even see Michael Myers a whole lot through this movie. You really don't. And at the very end of the movie, there's a scene, I mean, okay, so this Corey guy comes to Laurie Strode's house. He's now wearing a mask that's like the scarecrow mask. It's stupid. And So there's this whole scene, and Laurie shoots him, and then he dies, and okay, so there's that, and then she stabs him, and she dies, and the granddaughter comes in, and she's like, what did you do? What did you do? Why did you kill him? And then Michael Myers is there, and so then Laurie Strode is, you know, killing Michael Myers and stabbing him, and she's got him on the butcher block island in the kitchen, and she's got like one arm like this, and so anyway, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, this is Halloween Ends. First of all, in the previews, there's a scene where, and they show it a lot in the previews, where Laurie Strode says, I think that maybe I have to die for Michael to die. I don't remember where that was said in the movie. Okay, if that was said in the movie, I missed it completely. I don't know, maybe I was eating popcorn or something like that. But that whole sentiment isn't even felt in the movie, okay? Like, it isn't even this scary. Like, a friend of mine messaged me last night and was like, does Laurie Strode die? And I said, do you really want to know? And he was like, yeah. And I said, no, not even close. Like, she doesn't even really run, you guys. Like, I mean, there's like no, like, it's just like this kind of fight in the kitchen a little bit. But that's it. Like, and there's not like any, I don't know. I just thought it was so weak. And so they were standing in the kitchen, and she's got him like this, and she's got this knife in her hand, and I'm like, cut off his head. It's Halloween Ends, okay? Cut off his head. Do it. Cut off his head, right? End it right now. Because I really thought Laurie was going to die in this movie. I really did. So anyway, so then it's like, then of course, you know, the sheriff shows up, who now she's kind of fallen in love with the sheriff, and they're going to go to Japan and see the cherry blossoms and all this kind of stuff, which that whole storyline, it was kind of cute. I liked that a little bit. But anyway, so then they like load him up on top of Laurie's car, or her granddaughter's car, and they tie him up, and they take him out to this, what do you call it, this like, oh, it's like this trash site, right? You know, where like they put like, you know, cars and all kinds of, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, and they have like a landfill kind of place, right? So they have all this like that metal kind of cruncher thing. And so then like all these people are out there, they've like driven out there behind them in this long procession, right? And they're like, you know, kill him, kill him, kill him. And so like she's in there alone with him, and it's like she pushes him in this thing, and you see his body like all crumple up. And Michael Myers is dead forever, okay? And that's the story. That's it. And then she's finishing her book, and then her daughter, like, is going to start this new life and whatever. I just was so disappointed in it, you guys. Like, honest to God, like, and I waited for the credits because I thought, well, maybe there's something in the credits that it's going to show something exciting or whatever. This is how I feel about it, okay? And first of all, let me just tell you, in the entire franchise, and I know the movies do not go in order, but there's a lot of the movies that I really enjoy that are not, like, in the direct order. Like, I like 4 and 5 a lot. But besides the Busta Rhymes Halloween movie, which I think is the worst movie in the entire franchise, this is a close second, okay? I literally would probably give this movie, out of 10, 1.5 stars. I mean, it is really bad, you guys. And really the only thing in it that makes it enjoyable is Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode. And it is real, I mean, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. I don't know why they did this whole Corey storyline. I don't know why the writers were not willing to give the fans what they wanted. And let me tell you what I mean by that, okay? I think had they done this movie in a completely different way, I think it would be such a blockbuster smash for Halloween. I think if this movie had, number one, if they had researched and seen what movie, not just Halloween, but which movie out there ever has the most kills, and they got more kills than any horror movie of any scene in this Halloween Ends. And I think from the very get-go, if Laurie Strode was being followed through the whole movie from second one to the very end of the movie, at the very end of the movie, it was just her and Michael Myers fighting it out to the very end like it had started 40 years earlier. And I think if all these people had died in between there, I think if they had paid all these homages to the original movies and all of the movies in between, you know, like I was saying, like, it doesn't, like, just because those movies weren't in the franchise doesn't mean that they couldn't have paid homage to those people that were in the movie, or, you know what I mean? Like, I was thinking about, like, the one where they're at the boarding school. Like, they could have had kids dressed up in, like, boarding school costumes, like, as, you know, Halloween costumes running down the street. There is one moment at the beginning when Lori's kind of telling the story of what happened while I think she's writing the book. And so they flash back to a picture of like her and Lori and Annie, her, Lori and Annie, her, Linda and Annie. And then she is walking down the street. It's like footage from the original movie. And then she goes in and she talks about Halloween Kills, and not as a movie, obviously, but as like what happened in her life. And so they kind of like do this like, you know, montage of pictures and film from that, right? But like, I think like Dr. Loomis isn't even mentioned in this movie. Like that is like baffling to me, right? And they could have like done this whole thing about Dr. Loomis. She could have had like a picture even in her house of him or something like that. You know, there's so many missed opportunities that it felt to me just like one other movie in the series. It didn't feel to me like the ending of all endings, you know? And I really think it would have been so interesting if they had like ran a contest where they had like pulled 10 of the biggest fans. I mean, there are entire Facebook groups, Reddit threads, everywhere, Instagram accounts where, I mean, there are people getting, you know, tattoos of Laurie Strode and Michael Myers every single day, right? They could have ran a contest where they had like 10 of the biggest fans get together and write the ending for Halloween Ends and allowed the fans who have been the people that have been obsessed with this for over 40 years at this point and loved this movie franchise come up with the ending of how this ended. But to me, it was piss poor. It was really piss poor. One of my friends looked at me last night when we left, and he goes, you seem angry. I go, I am. Like, I'm not just disappointed, I'm angry. Like, as a super fan of this series, like, I feel let down. Like, this was not it for me. So anyway, I mean, it was just such a missed opportunity, but I know there were a lot of you out there that enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I finished The Watcher when I came home last night, so I have that to report on as well, The Watcher on Netflix. And I will be reporting on that very soon over here. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.